And there you go. Mr. Jason Aldean getting together with Miss Miranda Lambert and Drowns the Whiskey. That's brand new music from those guys, getting together, a little collaboration there. Real quick, shout out to our sponsor of the show, First Northern Bank and Trust, your community, their commitment to keeping your financial situation secure and easy to manage. Check it out at 1stnorthernbank.com. Well, we're into the second hour of the show, and as usual, we have a very special guest on board here today. This guy has a little bit of a different story to tell than some of the other guests that I've had on board, and he even ended up with a kind of new classification of music style. I've had one or two of those in my years, but this one I think is really going to be kind of cool. We're going to talk about that style. He's also got a brand new single out. We're going to play that for you in just a bit. But please make welcome to the show a Kansas boy, kind of working through it. Has an interesting story. Looking forward to hearing all about it. The one, the only, Mr. Regan Ziegler. Hey, Regan, how are ya?
Hey, Casey. Thanks for having me.
So, I mean, we want to touch on a bunch of stuff, but as always, what I like to do is a little bit of a background. You don't have to go into any gory details, but a little bit of a background, because I know everybody has their own path on how they got to where they are now. I mean, I've had, people, oh, yeah, I wanted to do this since I was a kid, or I had a major event happen in my life, or I had this, or I had that. And I know that for you, it's all about being determined to getting to where you want to be. But maybe you can give my listening audience a little background about Regan and how he got to putting out a brand new single just recently and talking about that music.
Well, yeah, once again, thanks for having me on. I've moved to Nashville years and years ago, and basically was going to try to do music right away and hit one obstacle after another. And I just finally recently had some things happen where I was able to get everything put together. There's a lot to it, putting music together, and I'm finally following through with what I'm supposed to be doing, and it's taken years to get here, but feel really good about it. And I've just released my first single. It's called Take Me Back, Where I Belong. And it's all about basically wrote it leaving L.A., where I moved to go to out of college, moved to L.A. to get into music there. Hit a bunch of dead ends, and when I was coming back from L.A. back to Kansas, this song just came to me. This is right out of college years ago. And I knew it would be my first song, my first single, if I could just get everything together to get the music thing going. And I've written the song, do all the guitars and the vocals on it, pretty much produced it with a buddy of mine, Chip Matthews, who's on Music Row here in Nashville. And this is first of hopefully many, many songs that we put out.
Okay, yeah, and I know you're planning on getting more music out, so your fans are just going to have to hang tight for a little bit. I know they're not ready yet and all that kind of stuff, so that's exciting news to know that there's more coming down the pike for Regan Ziegler and all that. You're the singer-songwriter. You're writing all of your own music. I mean, is that the dream, to just be able to do your own stuff? Are you planning on writing music for other artists? How does that fit into the scheme of things?
Well, I've been a closet songwriter for so many years, and I've never tried to write a song ever. It's all just come to me. Like hit me like a just with a whole wall of music. Just the songs come to me. I've never tried to make them come to me. They usually come to me when I'm driving, and I've totally written everything. It's different. It's you go to Nashville and they want to set you up with this writer, and I always had this business where it was non-music related, and I just wasn't even tapped into the whole music industry, even though I've been in Nashville for years, and had a business with employees and had all the responsibilities of that, and I'd just constantly have these songs coming to me, even almost like as a distraction even. So whatever you hear from me, if you like it or don't like it, it all just came to me. I wasn't trying to come up with it. So I would love to get into co-writing, and I have songs. Oh gosh, I have songs for females that I can think of. I've heard their voices for years and years, and I have songs just for them. And I need to make demos of those and get those out. But I have like a whole catalog of music. I think I have all the songs I need to do everything I want to do for me and what I would perform. So it's already written. I'd love to keep adding to it, though. Get some great writers and come up with new stuff. Who knows?
Is the performing part as important, or is that more of a way to get your music out. Are you more on the writer side of things, or is performing, tipping the scales a little bit? How does that work?
I've been performing out recently, and it's went over like surprisingly well, because it's not something that I've died to be doing. I don't wake up thinking about getting out in front of people. I've woken up with song ideas in my head. So the performing thing is something I've been getting into, and it's been a lot of fun. And it's kind of felt natural. So I guess I'm lucky in that regard once you get going. And so, a lot of fun, and I've had some great reception from a lot of people here in Nashville and back in Kansas, where I'm from, for social media and all that. And now we're supposed to be, trying to figure out a tour and all that, which is coming up. And that, it could be a lot of fun. That's what I'm really looking forward to.
All right.
And it's basically to help, it's like, who knows if it's to feed the music or the music's to feed the touring. The music industry is constantly changing, but I just know it'll be a blast to get out and actually do it.
Now, you're I guess, kind of like a words of advice. If people check out your website, they can read, the story and get a little bit more background of you. But before we even went on the air and we started having a conversation, you're like the living proof that the most important thing you say that you've learned in your life is to never give up the dream. And I know that's tough for a lot of people. That's tough because you get so many no's or it doesn't work out. You're steadfast in that advice for people?
Yeah. I don't know if it's music or whatever you're trying to do in life. If there's just something you can tell you're supposed to be doing something and you don't do it, I don't know what that would be, but for me it's been music. And if you don't do it, it can be haunting. Where you're gonna have to face it. You're gonna have to do it. And I've had all kinds of obstacles hit me with having my business and all my employees and getting the resources together to do this. And when I'm thinking I'm coming close, I'd have all this different stuff happen to where I wouldn't be able to do it. And we're talking, years and years of it, to where finally I found out I couldn't make my product that I basically developed when I first got to Nashville. It took me 4 years to develop this product and had all these employees. And one day I got an email basically saying that you can't make this stuff anymore. And it was like a death in the family. And I was like, you know what? This is my time. I'm going to do this music thing. No matter what, I will do it. And I don't know what it would be in someone's life, but for me, it's been music, and it just wouldn't leave me alone. I've got all these songs in my head, and I've got to get them out. And so I don't know how that would relate to someone else, but if there's something you need to be doing, you better just deal with it and do it. Yeah.
Well, and
don't give up.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say. And I'm looking at your website, and I just want to mention a few of these things. And, people say, oh, they've had a couple of no's in their lives or whatever, and they think that might be the biggest challenge to be able to reach, their goal or whatever. But, I mean, you've had some significant things going on here. I mean, just listing them up kind of like off the top here. You had both wrists broken. You had a hearing situation. You had a botched surgery. You had some diseases you had to deal with. Shutting down your business. I mean, those aren't a couple of no's and a couple of slamming doors, Regan. You've had some shit. I mean, you've had some.
Oh, yeah.
When you say you've had some significant challenges in your life, I mean, that's putting it mildly. And yet you steadfast to your course. You knew what you needed to do, and that's huge. I mean, you should be an inspirational speaker with that kind of background.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm used to running on empty. I really am. I've meeting payroll for a company for years and years and years, and that responsibility, and moving to Nashville from Kansas just to do music, and you can't even get away from everything else you have to do with your responsibilities to do it. It's just so incredibly frustrating, after years and years and years. And so at some point you've got to make things happen, and that's what I'm doing now. I really believe in these songs, and I didn't write them 6 months ago. I've got all, I got 80 songs I'm looking at for different things, and so I've been fine-tuning the ones that I'd want to put out in a certain order and all that, and I've been thinking about it I didn't start thinking about it a year ago or even 5 years ago. It's been a long time. So, yeah, if you read my story on my bio or whatever it's called on my website at reganziegler.com, it's pretty crazy. I'm not 25. I've been through a lot, and it's been quite a ride.
Let me ask you this then. There's probably a lot of people out there who may or may not have some challenges in their lives or whatever. Was there, I mean, there had to be a tipping point at some point, and I think it depends on the person. Was it the music? Was it that is what allowed you to go, I'm not going to give up? Because I think there are people out there who would have given up and just said, you know what, I'm done. I can't deal with this anymore, and maybe not had some sort of vice in their life to get over all of, you know, whatever life hands you. Was it music? I mean, are you saying that was the one thing that kept you going and kept you believing into the dream? If not, what was it? What was it?
Oh yeah. Well, like, if you look at me, I don't, you know, I've never had a family or anything, kids or anything, and I've always had these songs. And I was on my deathbed about 5 years ago, and I was about to go, and all I could think was, you idiot, you didn't do these songs. And it's way more graphic than that. It's told on my website. But basically, I about went, and I knew that what I had to do. So I knew if I was going to live through what I went through 5 years ago from a botched surgery I had, it's like, one thing I will do is get these songs out. So I started trying to figure out how to do it, and I kept having all these hurdles with my business. And then finally, here a while back, a year or so ago, I found out that you just can't even make the product. So I'm like, well, I know what I'm doing. So I liquidated my corporation. I sold my house, moved into a friend's house, and I've done nothing but learn all the recording software stuff. There were a couple of engineers that have taught me a lot. I've learned how to do my own vocals and guitars, and then hired out some incredible musicians to do drums, bass, keyboards, and all that here in Nashville. And had a lot of great help. And then buddy Chip Matthews has helped me put everything out there and get it all mixed, produced, and yeah, I'm just so elated that I'm actually finally doing it. It's kind of like an outer body experience after it's been this long.
Now you are playing guitar, even though you had that challenge of broken bones in your wrists, and you are singing, even though you also had an issue with being able to hear, so you couldn't sing really well. You're doing both. You've managed to get over those hurdles. Yeah,
it's funny. I have a hearing impairment. That's why I had a deviated septum surgery. Found out later that the anatomy was such that the deviated septum surgery will not fix blocked eustachian tubes, which is what I have. But I had this doctor sell me on that, and went and had that, and they hit an artery, hit a nerve, and ended up bleeding out about 60% of all my blood. And I had a chaplain there saying my final rites and all that, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. So
that's crazy.
Like I said, it's been quite a ride. I just know that there's something about just continuing with what you've got to do. And if you know you've got to do it, you just got to face it and do it. And it's taken years and years to get to this point. But we have an EP coming out, hoping in September, and I just got dozens and dozens of songs that I'm considering, because I've been writing, I've had, I don't know, 1,000 songs come into my head over the years. And I try to weed out the bad stuff and hone in the good stuff. So it's a different perspective. Like, a lot of people get started younger in life, and like they've got 2 or 3 songs, and they're just hoping that, well, let's get these out, and we'll come up with some other stuff. And I feel like I've got my whole catalog.
Right.
So, like you asked earlier about if I could get in and write with some other co-writers, who knows what could happen.
That'd be awesome. That sounds amazing. Well, let's talk about this song that you're putting out there, and that's out there right now. This is the single. Is this going to be on the EP, or is this going to stay a single?
It's a single now. It'll be included on the EP.
Okay. Well. And it's called Take Me Back Where I Belong. And like we talked about before, they've come up with a name for your kind of music. I know originally, I guess they were kind of calling it California country, but now they're calling it this open country, which is how they're defining your style of music. Explain that to my listening audience.
The common denominator with all of it is I've heard so many people just say, this sounds like 70s music. And you're like, I mean, 70s what? Like rock or whatever? Like, just it's 70s music is what it sounds like. I don't quite know what to think about that, but then I've just heard different people say different things, and it's not what's typically being released on, it's not your average song to be released on country radio as of right now.
Okay.
And I guess it's a blend of, I don't know, I keep hearing Eagles from the early 70s, this 70s genre, rock country blend. And I hear that a lot, and I don't know. I can't wait to get these other songs out to see what people think, because all the songs sound so different. I mean, they're like this song "Take Me Back Where I Belong." It has this this Latin thing going with it. I worked at a wheel manufacturing center out in California right out of college in the accounting department, and I kept hanging out with these people, all these Hispanic people that were like my favorite people in LA, that I'd go out on break with them twice a day, and they're making all this incredible food, like during their breaks for the day while they're on this factory floor, and they're making their own food and playing all this mariachi music like it was a party, like twice a day. And I'm coming out there from Kansas, you know, I'm not kind of foreign to me, and I fell in love with that music. And so I left. I got homesick, left LA, went back to Kansas. I just started hearing these mariachi, flamenco type guitar parts, and they started coming to me, and the lyrics started coming, the words, melodies for everything, and that's the story on that one. And then we just did a video about basically going from we didn't want to do LA, so we did basically I'm stranded in Mexico, and went from Mexico back to Kansas, specifically to El Dorado, where I grew up. And we've not released the video yet. We're going to release the video pretty soon.
Okay. So the video is something that people can look forward to, and that's the basis of it, is wanting to return home. And when you wrote the song, is that where the lyrics come from?
Yeah, I was homesick, like, you know, right out of college, living always within 2 hours of where I grew up, like going to the University of Kansas and all that. That, you know, it really wasn't like moving away compared to being right out of college and moving to LA and not knowing a single soul. And so I was very homesick, and then that's what the song is written about. And then ever since then, I've just kept adding all these songs, but I always knew that song would be the first one I would release. It's because my life has strayed from where I thought my path would be in music. It's just been so hard to get the resources to pull it all together, and it's all been about, you know, I need to get back to where I need to be in my life. That title of that song has just never left me. It's like that's always going to be your first song if you can get it together to get this stuff out.
All right.
So take me back where I belong. So
can you
many meetings to me by now.
Awesome. Well, I want to play it, but we got to take a quick break. Can you hang in there for a little bit yet?
You bet.
Awesome. Well, we're going to have more with Regan. We're going to talk connectivity with him, how you guys can keep an eye on what he has coming up with the new video for the song that you're going to listen to in just a minute, plus this new EP that he has out. So you guys are going to have to hang in there for just a minute. We got to pay some bills. We're going to be back with more Regan Ziegler. And remember, this is his new single that's out there. It's called Take Me Back Where I Belong. I'm going to have you guys give it a listen. And then you guys can decide if you feel it's open country or rock or classic or whatever. But you can hear what this guy's all about. It's just coming up in a minute. More with Regan on the Wall to Wall Country Show in just a bit. And back there, you heard Regan Ziegler's tune, a little something called Take Me Back Where I Belong, and it did. It had that cute little, like, beat to it. I heard some great instruments in there that aren't normally in a country tune, for sure, but I loved it. It was a great, happy little tune, summertime song. I loved it.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it had that mariachi feel. It had that, and almost like a beachy feel, where you're drinking a little margarita, or you're drinking a little, Bahama Mama or something, and just sitting there and listening to them doing their little thing there. I loved it. I really did.
That's what I've heard about that song. Yeah, it just has such a good time sound to it. It's the vocals and the chorus are very melancholy, and so I've never been able to figure the song quite out myself, but it goes from happy to like a sad chorus lyrically, but music's just really, really upbeat and happy, and I hope people like it.
Oh, well, I sure did. That's for sure. Actually, I think it took me by surprise. I wasn't quite expecting it to be that that nice little beat in there. I mean, it's definitely it took me by surprise, and I liked it. I was like, oh yeah, that's good. So now I know that's your single. It's out there. Can people get their hands on the single? And if so, how do they do it? Is there hard copies, electronic medias? How does it work?
Yes, thank you for asking. They can go to, ReganZiegler.com is my website. That's REGAN Ziegler, ZIEGLER.com.
Mm-hmm.
With that, there are direct links to actually purchase the song, digitally download it on iTunes. You can also digitally download it on Amazon and Google, and then stream it on, Apple Music, Spotify,
Okay.
Tidal, Deezer, Amazon Music, basically everything that's available. You can go there and just type in my oddball name.
It's not such an oddball name. Well, that's awesome. Is there a hard copy option? Can people, get something with your John Hancock on there?
We're thinking about that for the EP,
Okay.
and I wish we were coming out with like a full album, which is 10 songs. People are loving to buy vinyl and all that. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be great. Unfortunately, we're just doing 4 or 5 songs coming out with this EP, hopefully in September. Down the road for sure. And then this, you never know, something might even happen with this being a hard copy EP as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you might have, if you are going to get into more of the touring too, I mean, that would be something to have at your shows, a little something that people can pick up, get a picture with you and have a sign, that whole Merc part of the business, is always nice when people can just walk up to a Merc table and get themselves a nice copy of it as well, signature and all that happy stuff.
Along with the T-shirt. We're selling quite a few T-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
My RZ logo.
Okay.
And it's on the website, ReganZiegler.com.
Yeah.
And can I plug in that I'm also obviously on Facebook?
Oh, absolutely. That was going to be my next question, actually. For connectivity-wise, I mean, it is the place to be. Not all artists agree with me on that, which is perfectly okay. But you are on the social medias across the board where people can reach out to you?
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Facebook and Instagram. We're not doing really anything on Twitter right now.
Okay.
Until I, become a celebrity.
Until you have to hire somebody who's going to take care of all your social media, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking they're not waiting to hear the next words coming out of my mouth as of yet, but we'll see what happens.
Well,
Sure, on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say the connectivity is going to be there. A lot of people do use Twitter, even if you just bop on there once in a while and just do a little quick tweet.
Yeah, we need to get more into that. And then with the video, that could totally change things as well. And we're going to, we might even get into putting the video on Snapchat and a lot of different platforms. And so we'll have to get more into it. We're pretty heavy into the whole Facebook and Instagram thing.
Okay, good.
Already. And the second phase would be going into Twitter.
Now, the Facebook is something as simple as Regan Ziegler Music, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the other one's Regan Ziegler. And the Twitter, you do have one. It is the Regan Ziegler, but the Instagram is just your name. So, I mean, and all the links are on your website. If they're, screwing up a couple letters here and there, all the links are right there on your website, along with all the connection for how they can get their hands on this tune for Take Me Back Where I Belong, which is nice. So it's just basically going to the website, Regan Ziegler, and I want to make sure it's ZIEGLER. And the Regan is real simple. It's REGAN. So they can check that out if they, Google you or whatever. And they can get their hands on that single for now and bop it in there as their ringtone or something.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying, wait till you get the whole EP, but we were chomping at the bit to get a single out in the summertime.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and that's a perfect song for summertime. I mean, it's definitely summertime music. It's got, like I said, it's got that beachy feel, hanging out, doing a little head bob. I like it.
It's funny you say that. Yeah, the first 4 female friends of mine that I played the song for, they all said, that's summertime music. Mm-hmm. And this is like mid-May. They're like, why isn't this out right now? I'm like, well, it should be, but it took us a while.
Yeah. Well, there's finances involved and all that kind of stuff, I mean, it depends, I mean, some people find it a little easier with the internet, you can get stuff out there pretty easy in that, but, getting a little video or something like that on YouTube will help, draw people to you too. So, all those social medias are good things for you. So you have a video coming out, you got an EP coming out, hopefully going to get a tour scheduled together for the rest of 2018. And I guess staying in touch with the website is just the perfect way for your fans to kind of keep an eye on what you're up to and what you're getting into and what you're getting out there, right?
Yeah, that and Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
So many people are on Facebook. We're getting. That's how people are finding out more about than I'm actually going to the website as of right now. But who knows if that'll change? But yeah, the whole Facebook thing really is, and Instagram, it really is huge.
Yeah. Well, obviously we post about all of the talent that we're going to have, and I know we mentioned about you guys being on here, and somebody liked it.
I saw that.
I think.
Yeah, I saw that.
So are you the guy who actually does all the answering? I mean, is it you personally, or is there a couple of staff people that help you out with that?
Yeah, I have a manager, a couple other people that are involved. My buddy Paul Brigande is my manager, and his brother David Brigande is a crazy talented graphic artist. Mm-hmm. Done the logo and all that stuff. And, this is all just started all the visual stuff in the last 3 months. Mm-hmm. And been working on the music for the last year and a half. I've got plenty of music in the pipeline, and then we just threw the visual stuff for all the photo sessions and photo shoots and all that in the last few months. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we were thinking this all might end up being next spring, but we're like, no, let's get something out now. So that's why the single now, and I was thinking an album for the spring, but we're like, no, I got to do something now.
Yeah. Well, I think you're getting out there. You're getting people to find you. I mean, I'm looking at your website here. You're rubbing elbows with people like Stormy Warren and Today, Channel 4, and all that. And I mean, that's where it starts. You got to get the vibe going. You got to get the word out there. You got to do the best you can with that. And I think you're following it the right way. I think you released a great tune for the summer. I think that's going to get you some recognition. So I think you're doing the right way. And the other thing is, artists will say you don't want to rush it either. When you send something out there, you want everybody to soak it up a little bit, and then you want them hungry for more. So there's a couple different theories, on the best way to do it, but you got to do it.
Yeah, and the industry's changing so much. Like they say the perfect way to do something is a certain way, and in 6 months they'll say, well, now it's this way. So the industry's just changing so drastically. Yeah. So quickly.
Yeah, for sure. And country is just not country anymore. There's so many. I mean, I interviewed an artist a while back, and his music was considered industrial country. So
I heard that one.
Yeah, well, I didn't either. I do now, though. So it's and there's so much. There is no more defined lines. When it comes to country anymore. There's so many other genres blurring the lines of it. So whatever people like. That's what's going to sell.
Well, and you guys have really, I've listened, it really is a truly incredible, diverse repertoire of songs I've heard that I just happen to like so many of them. It's unbelievable. So this is like really a perfect place to have my song. And I'm thinking if people are open to these other different types of songs, a lot of them are just great songs we all grew up hearing. Mm-hmm. Maybe they'll get something out of this because mine's a little, it's not your typical country format as of like right now.
Well, it'll definitely get out there, at least with us anyway, and we're global, so you might be getting heard in Sweden. Yeah. So, and I want to throw this out there. I know you're not really doing the big tour thing yet, but, keep in mind if you ever are and you find your way up here to Pennsylvania, I always like to tell my artists that the doors to Penn Speak Radio are open. If you ever find your way up here, more than welcome to come in and hang out in our studios and do a little live impromptu stuff. So just throwing it out there, Regan.
Thank you. The next single is going to be called Dance With Me whenever we get the timing right on when to do it. I'd love to come play it acoustically live for you guys right there in the studio.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I mean, you'd have to travel a couple hours north to come find us. But, yeah, I mean, you end up doing a radio tour or something, please consider us. That would be awesome. We'd love to have you here, but even in your touring days or whatever. But also keep in mind, Regan, if you do have a couple months down the line, you do get that EP, you're always welcome back to the show, even if it's just phone, too, just to say, hey, the EP's out now. So, though that's also an opportunity, just so just keep me in mind, keep us in mind. We'll be glad to get the rest of your songs out there when you do get the EP accomplished.
Thank you so much. I'm 100% going to do that. Can't thank you enough.
Yeah, and I'm sure they sent you my cell, so you also have my cell. Mm-hmm. You can reach out to me. We'll get you on the schedule again. So you got already a lot going on. Is there anything else you want to throw out there to the listening audience? I don't want to hold you too much longer.
Yeah, I think we're good. This has been great. I just appreciate everyone listening and hope they like the song. Hope they like songs coming out. I've just got a ton of them on the way.
Awesome.
And
awesome. Well, we're going to be looking forward to all of that, Regan, and I wish you all the best and all the good luck. And I think you've paid your dues. I think you now officially have the right to some fun stuff for a while.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to things changing for me. I so am.
Yeah, well, got to keep the positive thoughts coming your way, my friend.
Yeah.
And looking forward to hearing about some new stuff down the pike a little bit with Regan Ziegler. Check this guy out. Looking forward to having that new EP out there. Be looking for his video for Take Me Back Where I Belong. You can check out his website. It's real simple. It's just reganziegler.com. He's on the social medias, mostly the Instagram and the Facebook. You can find him that way and tell him you heard all about him right here on Penn's Peak Radio. If there's nothing else, Regan, I'm going to cut you loose. I appreciate your time today, sir.
Hey, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
All right, we'll look forward to hearing from you again soon. We're going to get back to the program. We got a little something from Mr. Walker Hayes here for you. A little something called Beautiful right here on Penn's Peak Radio.